Alright guys, so as you could see both from this video description as well as the thumbnail, today it's been literally 1 month since Asphalt Legends Unite was globally released, excepting for Nintendo Switch, but I will talk about it later, so I will let you know all the changes that we got the chance to experience, if any, and if the game is better than it was back when it was launched 1 month ago. So with nothing else to add, let's get into it. Let's begin with the issue that affected the most players back when this game expansion was introduced, the graphics and optimization. Gameloft released a couple of hotfixes directly oriented to make the game more stable and optimized, and despite I never got any big issues on any of my devices because I always got the chance to run the game at max graphics, after asking many Android players, I can say that the game performance has been slightly improved, up to the point where there are no texture and shadow glitches in most of the tracks, as we could see back at the launch day. While it's true that the amount of Android devices capable of running this game at the max quality possible without any kind of issues is certainly not that big. As I said on my previous videos, the most affected players by the launch of Asphalt Legends Unite are those with medium to low end devices, since those devices can barely run the game with the new graphic improvements, so sadly in many cases it won't be possible to run the game unless those players switch to a bit better device, since the constant improvement in graphics eventually makes certain devices obsolete because of the new requirements which they don't meet. Luckily for those using medium high to high end smartphones, this game is way more optimized than it used to be 1 month ago, and despite there is room for improvement, it's a small step considering where we began back when Asphalt Legends Unite was introduced. On Windows and iOS, these hotfixes I have just mentioned made the game more stable and less prone to overheat the devices, but once again, there is room for improvement, and I really hope that they keep working on optimization, because from time to time and regardless of your device, lag spikes appear and that's quite annoying. I have got the chance to test the game both on iOS and Windows, and the graphics difference between both is massive, even though my iPad can run the game at absolutely max graphics. I guess this is because it's harder to run the game at the same quality and with the same effects on mobile devices, but then what's the point of making a game expansion that, makes the game to look worse? Because I clearly remember how the game used to look like on iOS back when Asphalt Legends was a thing, and sure, now we have shadows and reflections on the cars and that stuff, but if you look at the environments, they look like poorly done, especially in tracks like San Francisco, where the shadows are completely messed up and the game looks significantly worse than on Asphalt 9 Legends. I will say it once again with no fear of hiding it. 1 month later, I have come to the conclusion that Asphalt 9 Legends graphics were far better than what we got with Asphalt Legends Unite, and I would give back the shadows and reflections with no hesitation if that meant we could use the old graphics instead of these ones. However, the user interface is really nice, so I have nothing against it, but the in-game graphics are fairly bad, and I'm pretty sure that the entire community wouldn't be angry at Gameloft if they step back on this. And remember, I'm saying this as a person who can play with the best quality this game has to offer, but damn, what's the point of having those top tier graphics on my computer if when I open my iPad I see how poorly implemented they are in some tracks? Regarding this, all what I hope is that Gameloft will keep improving the graphics to eventually get closer and closer to the vibes the Asphalt 9 Legends graphics used to give. And yeah, that includes the saturation, because when you play on mobile devices, it looks as if the game had a lower saturation, making the colors look way less bright and intense. Some saturation and a bit better implementation of the graphics in certain tracks will do wonders, I'm sure of that. But as for now, there is still plenty of room available for improvement. Okay, so leaving the optimization and the graphics at one side, it's time to have a look at something a bit better. All the events we have got and the rewards included on them, because not gonna lie, it's been a quite nice month in terms of rewards, where we got the Lamborghini Countach and Pagani Huayra Air special event rerun, which both of them included a ton of tokens, credits and epic import parts, or in a nutshell, stuff that it's always welcome regardless of your level or progress within this game. Also, we have got a ton of time limited events which have been quite rewarding as well, even though in this case I felt like they were more oriented to newcomers, since most of these events gave a ton of blueprints of cars I already had. But hey, I'm happy for the newcomers, because the easier they get cars, the better for us all as a game. On multiplayer though, I have seen some people getting those 10 Hennessy Venom F5 epic import parts from the multiplayer milestone rewards, and that's insane, because that means that they are here to stay, at least for a while, so that's probably one of the most generous things Gameloft has made so far. On the multiplayer side, I will give my opinion, but the truth is that I already made a video talking in deep detail about the whole status of the multiplayer mode in this game, so if you want to check it out, you have the link on this video description. Season Series got a live stream, and right now it got Ghost multiplayer, which is nice but weird at the same time, since you know World Series have been stuck at classic mode since Asphalt Legends Unite was released, but hopefully they will introduce different multiplayer modes in the future as well. In general, I would say I don't expect gameloft to keep being this friendly with newcomers in terms of rewards, so if I were you, I would recommend to try to get as much rewards as you can for as long as it lasts. At last but not least, I had to try one of the most awaited things from this game expansion, the crossplay, because honestly it works quite nicely from my end and I can seamlessly switch from my computer to my iPad without doing any extra steps aside from logging on with my gameloft ID after creating a new iOS account to hold my progress, because it's really nice to be able to switch between platforms this easily, to have your progress with you wherever you go, like I did when I was, on holidays a week ago. But not everyone was as lucky as me, because if you are from PlayStation or Nintendo Switch, you can't move your account to or from other platforms, despite you can match people from other platforms on multiplayer and events. The Nintendo Switch situation is even worse, since they had no chance to get the Asphalt Legends Unite update as a result of a massive delay caused mostly by Nintendo itself, so they will have to wait until the 19th of August, this is in 2 days, in order to be able to finally install Asphalt Legends Unite on Nintendo Switch. However, the compensation given by Gameloft will be straight up insufficient for all the stuff these Nintendo Switch players have lost during this month of Asphalt Legends Unite, and I don't really think all these Nintendo players deserve better stuff than the pyrrhic rewards that they will get, but I guess that at the end of the day, you can't expect basic decency towards your customers from Gameloft, seems like. In general, and being completely honest, I don't really think that Asphalt Legends Unite is between a 20 to a 40% better than it used to be 1 month ago, but there are plenty of issues to fix before we get the same level of quality we had with Asphalt 9 Legends. Hopefully, Gameloft will keep working on all of this to make the game better and better, because otherwise I have no idea what are they doing with the money they get from the insanely aggressive microtransaction system they set from the day one. You all guys are invited to let me know your thoughts about your Asphalt Legends Unite experience during this month, as always on a civil way. Drop your massive like and make sure to subscribe in order to not to miss absolutely anything about Asphalt Legends Unite, and I will see you really soon as usual with much more content. Goodbye guys.